Bolovinaka, and a very, very good morning to all of you. I was just sitting there and thinking and listening very carefully, and I just suddenly realized that I need to say something. That one of the very reasons why we are actually be able to do this today is because of the collective. And you saw what was there, and you're talking about the collective. One of the biggest lessons that we have actually been taught by COVID is actually the collective. The solution to us being here today is only available to us because of the collective. The world got together to ensure that we could get back into some decent space to be able to even sit here today. And so the same principle, ladies and gentlemen, needs to be applied when we're thinking about conservation. Exactly the same principle. Everybody must have an equal voice. It is not just about government. It's not just about NGOs. It's not just about anybody singularly. The solutions are to be found in the collective. Everybody must have an equal voice. I'm pleased to join you all for the third and final day, ladies and gentlemen, of the National Seascape Symposium. Today is actually focused on partnerships that are required to build a sustainable blue economy. And as the Minister for Commerce, Trade and Tourism and Transport, that's a subject that I'm always happy to discuss. And specifically with respect to our theme, which is human well-being and private sector engagement. The interconnectedness, ladies and gentlemen, and significance of our natural environment to our heritage, our health, and our economy is undeniable. We take pride in our ocean and are prepared to do whatever is necessary to protect it. When we work within the bounds of sustainability, our ocean can be the opportunity of our lifetime. The Earth's surface, as you all know, is some 70% ocean, and the Fiji group is 99% ocean. And living on our very large patch of the Blue Pacific presents a unique set of challenges and opportunities. And over the years, we've actually made some very strong commitments. We have pledged to sustainably manage all of Fiji's ocean by 2030, with 30% designated as marine protected areas. And we've locked that commitment into the law through our National Ocean Policy and Climate Change Act. We've actually pledged to achieve net zero carbon emission by 2050. And we have pledged to a carbon-free domestic maritime transport sector by 2050. These commitments, ladies and gentlemen, make moral and economic sense. Fiji's fisheries are a perfect example. We can't support an economic model that actually strips and ultimately exhausts our ocean of marine life. That would rob our people of livelihoods and a vital source of food. The challenge we face today is how to meet present and future demand while safeguarding the fishing grounds for future generations. We can achieve this by disciplining certain practices and actions of those extracting resources from the oceans. And believe me, Fijians know best. We are historically good at doing this. On the multilateral front, negotiations on fisheries subsidies are on the agenda of the World Trade Organization as an expected key outcome of the 12th Ministerial Conference, which is to be held later this year. When it comes to fisheries, ladies and gentlemen, Fiji and the Pacific have voices that must be heard. That is why Fiji is actually maintaining a strong stance in these negotiations. We will only endorse agreements that are focused on sustainable development and that which protects and preserves our fisheries resources, and which also takes into account, and we cannot forget this, it must take into account our development needs. In Fiji's context, ladies and gentlemen, 65% of the population are coastal dwellers, and we comprise about 850 coastal communities, all of whose livelihoods depend on small-scale fisheries. So for us, sustaining our fisheries is important for the socio-economic prosperity of our nation and of our people. Harmful fisheries subsidies aren't the only reason we see declining levels of global fish stocks. Climate change, as you all know, is also a massive contributing factor, that which affects our oceans and in turn the health of our fish stocks. By now, we know this all too well. And this is why Fiji is currently part of a landmark agreement, the Agreement on Climate Change, Trade and Sustainability, also known as ACCTS. This is negotiated with Costa Rica, Iceland, New Zealand, Norway, and Switzerland. Launched during the UN Leaders General Assembly in 2019, the ACCTS draws nexus between climate change, trade, and environmental policy with sustainability at its core. The agreement is a timely, pragmatic approach which will help us meet our commitments of the Paris Agreement. We may only have 6 countries at the table for now, but soon enough we expect to have more countries make the same commitment. Ladies and gentlemen, if I just could spell out something too, as the minister responsible for cooperatives, I'm glad this symposium is actually looking to use the cooperatives business model as it's a conduit to successfully implementing initiatives that protect our ocean and our resources. Cooperatives are actually grassroots, private sector-led solutions whereby communities pool their resources to build a business. And because we are a large ocean state, most of these businesses are blue. Our Department of Cooperative Business under the Ministry of Commerce, Trade, Tourism, Transport embarks to develop these businesses, create livelihoods, and also to empower Fijians. And we arm the cooperatives with the necessary resource that ensures long-term sustainability. We actually train, we support, and we guide right across the board. The business model has actually been essential in the development of our rural communities. Why? Because of its inclusiveness and member-driven principles. Now the cooperatives are actually seen as an attractive and a bankable business model. And we continue to monitor these cooperatives also as businesses progress and provide the relevant support where needed. Just recently, our teams returned from about a 3-week tour to the Lao Group, where we visited about 80% of our 29 cooperatives, providing business advisory services and training. But these cooperatives in the Lao Group engage predominantly in the wholesale and retail sector, given its remoteness and demand for goods. But they are actually now thinking of diversifying into fishing and agriculture and value addition. So we have, in partnership with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, developed manuals on sustainable business practices. And these are specifically to upskill and equip fisher folks with business knowledge. We basically want all Fijians to combine their traditional knowledge with business knowledge. So if we are to avoid the exploitation of our marine resources, we need to find and keep the right balance, right from that particular level. We must ensure that any of our plans or any of our programs, no matter how big or small, have at its heart sustainability. That's why I mentioned right at the outset, partnership. Partnership is extremely important. Whether it's with government, whether it's with the private sector, or the community or development partners, it's a national commitment to actually protect our most valuable assets. Assets that are most definitely not endless. Right now, we're working with Conservation International to pitch to the maritime communities a governance structure that ensures the right combination of resources and business know-how. And that's what we call balance. Ladies and gentlemen, beyond the national interest, by 2050, we've pledged our region's oceans to be secured by powerful protections that preserve its bounty and its beauty for all time. To get there, our national actions matter. Let us not forget that the prime focus for all of Fiji's marine management and ocean protection is our coastal communities. We need to continue materializing our commitments. We need to put our policies to practice. We need to be at the forefront with our actions by working together under common goals. The Fijian government will continue working closely with its consortium partners to establish and preserve our coastal marine environment. I look forward, ladies and gentlemen, to the outcomes of this symposium, to be part of the National Action Plan to protect our oceans and its resources. I want to leave you, ladies and gentlemen, with just a small thought. I remember being in Kenya one day, and we were talking about our oceans. And I happened to say something which was actually well taken by the community, the entire community that was there. And I said, we are part of some of the largest oceans in the world, yet we have the smallest voice. So we must all look to making that voice as loud and clear as possible around the world, so that they know that this protection is so important, and it can only be done through the collective. So with those few words, ladies and gentlemen, I welcome you all to the final day of the National Seascape Symposium, and it is my hope, with so many players here today, that our deliberations actually grow into impact. Minaba Levin, thank you very much.